Hey guys, it's Mrs. Malott. We're getting ready to start the last chapter in this book that we're going to do this year. So, first of all, let me make sure that I explain something because I think it could easily be confused. It is chapter 20 in your book, and when you look at the notes and sometimes things that I hand out, it may say chapter 19. The reason for that is there was a revision of the book, and it used to be chapter 19, but now it's chapter 20. So depending on where some things come from, I might have pulled something from the old book versus the new. It may say chapter 19, and that's okay, but it is actually chapter 20. All right, so there are 5 objectives for today, and they are to identify the process involved in the nutrition process. Number 2 is to define metabolism. Number 3 is to identify types of nutrients. Number 4 is to identify tools that can help develop a balanced diet. And number 5 is to identify factors that will affect people's food choices. So we're going to talk about nutrition in this chapter, obviously. So we need to talk about how our bodies actually use food. The term nutrition is the process of taking in food and our body using it. The process of nutrition actually involves multiple steps. First, you have to ingest the food. So in other words, take the food into your body, eat it, drink it, so forth. Digest it, whether it's chemically or mechanically, the breaking down of food. Absorption is the step in nutrition when your body takes the food that has been broken down and takes the different nutrients out so that our body can use it. And then metabolism, which is all the chemical changes in how your body uses foods and so forth. It is metabolism that gives us our energy that we need, and the unit that we measure that energy in is calories or kilocalories. You've probably heard that term before. So nutrients, when we bring it into our food into our body, it can be broken down into these different nutrients. Some of these nutrients will give us energy. Some will help our bodies to function the way that it's meant to. So the ones that actually will help us by giving us energy are our carbohydrates, our proteins, and our fat. The ones that regulate our different processes in our body are vitamins, minerals, and water. And if you're going to have a balanced diet, you need to have all of these essential nutrients, including fat. Believe it or not, even if you're obese, you need a little bit of fat in your diet. Now, not everybody needs to go out and eat like 5 Big Macs or something like that, but everybody needs some fat in their diet. And of course, we need some carbs, we need some protein, we need some vitamins, we need our minerals, and we need our water as well. And so if we're balancing our diet, you have the right amount of those substances in the food that you're eating. And ideally, everything that we eat would give us the nutrients that we need. Like, you shouldn't need to take extra vitamins if you're eating properly. Now, there's some tools that can help us make good food choices. The PowerPoint talks about my pyramid, and the newest version of that's out there is no longer my pyramid, it's my plate. But basically, it's a guide that helps us to make food choices, and it focuses on the right kinds of foods, and so that the higher proportions of the foods that we need more of, there's more servings of that in a day versus fat that you don't need a lot of. Physical activity is important as well. But when you're selecting foods, some things to keep an eye on or in mind is when you're selecting your grains that at least half of them should be whole grains. When you're eating your vegetables, you should vary them. Like, in other words, you shouldn't eat all carrots or you shouldn't eat all lettuce. In fact, you should vary your vegetables in varying colors, because different colored vegetables will help give you different nutrients. Fruits, focus on fruits is what they kind of give you as a tidbit. Eat calcium-rich foods. So even if you don't like milk, there are other things out there that you can eat that will be good sources of calcium. And calcium is important. Meat and beans. And the idea with the meat and the beans is go lean with protein. So no, it's not big fatty types of meats, but the leaner type of meat is better. Now, when we are selecting our food, there are certain things that would affect our food choices. The first of which is religion. That is because there's different religions that cannot eat certain types of food. So, for instance, Jewish people can't eat pork. People that are Jewish have to have kosher food. It has to be prepared properly. I'm trying to think of some other examples. And I can't think of them off the top of my head. I have a handout that I'll have available in class that kind of talks about all these different religions and cultures and how they can affect food choices. But that's the second one, is culture and geography. Culture, just because what's ideal in the culture will affect food choices. And I'm trying to think of an example. Asian cultures may not like ice in their water. Something as simple as that. So if you bring them a glass of ice water and you tell them they have to drink it, they may not drink it because they don't like ice in it. Geography, just because of what's available to them. You know, if you are in Africa or you're in Asia or you're in America, there's going to be different food resources available to you than what the other countries have. So what's available geographically is going to play a role in what food choices you have as well. Finances. Have you ever heard that it is more expensive to eat healthy? And that is true. You know, it's a lot easier to go to McDonald's and buy $1 French fry than it is to go home and properly make a good balanced meal. Kitchen skills. If all you know how to make is mac and cheese, that's all you're going to eat. So kitchen skills come into play with your food choices. Individual taste. If you don't like something, you're not going to eat it. You know, if you don't like liver and onions, you're not going to go home and make it just because you know it's a good source of a nutrient that you need. Your appetite. If you're not hungry, you're not going to eat. Now, keeping all those things in mind, you just also need to make sure that you respect the individual. OBRA, remember we've been talking about them along the way, actually requires meals that meet nutritional needs, but they also require that they are presented in an appealing way. So in other words, they can't just throw it all together in one big old pile on the plate. They have to make it look appealing to you. And when we're admitting our patients, it's a good idea to find out those kinds of things, you know, all those things that we talked about, religion, culture. If there are any religious or cultural types of things that are going to affect their care, whether it be dietary or something else, it's good to get to know your patients, get to know what they like, what they don't like, and things like that, so that you can better meet their needs. So that is it for today. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, and otherwise I'll see you tomorrow.